Alright guys, I'm just doing a little voiceover video here for you guys to talk and explain a little bit about Gordon Ryan's passing in this match Friday night with Pedro Marinho. And Pedro is not known to be a really amazing guard player, but he's a high level grappler. And you can see Gordon, when Gordon's passing his guard, he passes his guard twice and pretty effortlessly. He applies all of the principles that I've been trying to teach and trying to explain and trying to help people understand. His guard passing has become a lot more pressure oriented recently, and you actually hear John Danaher speaking a lot and talking a lot about using his weight, using your weight distribution, how important of a tool that is, and the ability to tire people out by using your weight. So when you're dealing with especially really strong, really athletic guys that move a lot, guys that are really fast, the understanding and the idea and the skill of learning how to use your weight when you're passing the guard to pressure your opponent and to stop their movement becomes really important. And you see Gordon really does kind of like a master class on in that. So anyways, let's walk I'll walk you guys through what's going on here with this guard passing. So here he's kind of getting the takedown. He's just about to dump him right now. He actually turns and tries to pull guard. So you see already Gordon's kind of on his toes. If you notice, he's kind of starting to push off, and he's already kind of lining up his chest over Pedro's chest. So this is something I talk about a lot when you're passing the guard, is basically being on your toes and kind of leaning over your opponent, kind of forcing them to carry your weight. So right now, what you'll notice is this shin right here is really kind of the main thing that's stopping Gordon from getting any closer. That's kind of the frame that he's using. But Gordon's chest is already kind of right over Pedro's chest. So you'll see what happens here. I think Pedro underhooks and starts to go for the leg, trying to tangle it. But you see this? Look how he's just leaning. Look how relaxed he is. He's literally just leaning on his arms, forcing Pedro to carry his weight. And what you can see here is he's off his knees. So right now, he's just so relaxed. He's forcing Pedro to basically support all his weight. So even if Pedro can hold him up with these frames, which basically this is not really a huge frame, it's mostly his arms, he's gassing him out already. He's really forcing him to basically hold up, 235 pounds, right? Or a little bit less than that, because obviously, a lot of the weight, but he's also putting all this weight on his arms. So that's kind of going to have a big effect, especially over time. So he's just leaning on him, very relaxed. He ends up pushing him away, and what you'll notice is this foot here creates a frame on his hip that he's going to have to clear. His other arm is hooked underneath Gordon's leg, so basically in order to pass, he's got to basically get rid of this frame. So sometimes you can clear it this way, and I think what Gordon ends up doing is he ends up clearing the leg this way to get rid of it, and immediately once he clears the leg, his pressure and his weight is already moving forward. So even though Pedro was able to kind of kick him back and create a little bit of space right here, watch what happens. So he's leaning. So really, again, forcing Pedro to support all of his weight, and he's very relaxed. You see how his chest, again, is directly over Pedro's chest. So that's one of the concepts I constantly talk about. When you're trying to pass guard, your job is to soak up space, right? The other person's job is to create space, and they're going to use frames against you a lot of times to create that space. So right now, this is kind of the major frame that's preventing Gordon's chest and body from getting to Pedro's body. Because think about it, when you're passing the guard, one of the things you want to do is end up chest to chest, right? So if he can get his chest to Pedro's chest, that's already a huge goal. That's kind of a huge jump, and kind of one of the cornerstones, or like a huge progress he can make, is by getting his chest to his chest. So watch what happens. He's going to end up pushing that leg out of the way. See how he's constantly leaning. He's trying to rock him to the side. He does a good job keeping his balance, and again puts his weight. So he clears that leg and immediately falls and starts to pressure. So he's keeping his weight on Pedro, even though he's got his leg kind of tied up here. he's going to end up constantly keeping his weight, leaning forward. Okay, boom. So I think they're going to pull him back to the middle. But right now what you can see is Pedro's using this frame against Gordon. He's got this knee on the inside that Gordon's got to have to deal with. So I think they're going to pull him back to the middle real quick just to check the position, pull him back to the middle, and they're going to restart him in the same position. But obviously, you know, Pedro recovered a little bit, is using these frames against him to basically stop him from passing. So they start them back up, and what you'll notice is you see how Gordon's constantly clearing these frames, and he's going to be off his knees, right, driving forward. So you see how he's forcing Pedro to support this, and he's changing angles constantly with his body to collapse these frames. So right now he's basically in half guard. This knee is kind of blocking him in this arm. So once he clears that arm, he starts to fall forward, right? So he clears the arm, his chest is already making a beeline for Pedro's chest, and bam, he kind of settles into a half guard position. Now, because Pedro's going for a deep half, he's basically cross-facing to prevent him from being able to get underneath his legs, right? One of the other things that he could do from here, and which you'll see him do, is basically exactly that. So he's going to underhook the arm. If he can actually weave his arm inside and flatten him out, which is what he ends up doing, it's going to give him a huge advantage. Obviously, Gordon doesn't want him to be on his side. Usually when you're trying to dominate one of the top positions like cross-eyed, half guard, or mount, you want to keep the person flat. So there's a little bit of hand pummeling here. So he actually gets his hand inside, but he's very insistent, kind of insisting on the cross face here. And I think that's mostly just to prevent Pedro from getting underneath. But look, once he puts his arm on this side of the head, he's able to kind of pin his shoulder back. So once you see him get Pedro flat, he really starts to dominate. So boom, he starts to flatten him out. You can see this shoulder kind of going more towards the ground, and now he's going to cross face. And now that he's got this grip, it's really hard for Pedro to frame it. So he's basically gotten chest to chest with him. That's one of the main goals when you're basically passing the guard. And what you notice is when Gordon was passing, most of the time his chest was already over Pedro's chest. He was basically forcing Pedro to support his weight. And so basically once he clears those frames, he immediately gets chest to chest. Now, one of the things I always talk about is half guard means you're halfway past the guard. So really, he's almost out of the guard. All he's got to do is free this leg. And so what he's basically going to do is throw his other leg inside and just kind of peel his other leg out. So you'll see once he kind of controls this position, you'll see the camera angle change a little bit, and you'll see kind of how he peels the leg. He'll basically weave this leg inside and use it to pry the other leg out. Right now he's got really, really good control. Pedro's kind of trying to explode around and just really just kind of flailing, trying to create space, trying to create some type of movement. And you can see Gordon is leaning a lot of pressure on the shoulder to keep him flat, right? So you can kind of see, you'll see Gordon kind of post his head here in a second. There you go. See, and the reason he does that is to shift his weight more to this side to control this shoulder, to keep this shoulder flat. So he's got him flattened out now, right? Now that he has him flattened out, now that he's not on his side, right? He's going to basically put his foot inside and basically get his knee out. Once he clears his knee line here, once the knee is out from the half guard, it gives you the option to either mount, or basically the knee can go this way and you end up cross-eyed. So it kind of depends on what's going on. Sometimes you have the option to go either way. And in this situation, what you'll see is Gordon takes the mount. So he puts his foot inside, peels the knee out, and see immediately transitions to the mount. And once he's mounted, he spends, gosh, a good probably 10 or 11, 12 minutes here in the mount position, just kind of smothering him with his weight, really, really trying to just tire him out and gas him out. Pedro's obviously a beast of an athlete, but man, he could not do anything in Gordon's mount. I mean, Gordon just held him mount and was kind of playing with him from the mount, really smothering. Pedro had a really, really difficult time because Gordon keeps peeling his arms up, so he was not putting his arms basically where they need to be to really help him escape. And even when the times that he did get to his side, he wasn't able to get his leg underneath Gordon's legs to be able to escape. So anyways, back to the passing part. So you see he mounts, and he's mounted all the way up until I think the 23rd minute of this video, where you see again they kind of go into kind of a guard recovery, but more of a half guard position. So let's see. Here we go. Boom. So you see he kind of pushes him away. He's grabbing the leg, again, knee inside. So this is the frame that Gordon's going to have to clear. He basically ends up kicking his leg out. By this point, Pedro's already very, very exhausted because of the smothering from the mount, just basically exhausting him from the mount, right? So he's here. So Pedro's kind of pushing him back, using these frames against him on his hip to keep him away. And what you'll see is he pushes the legs and pulls his foot out. And again, so you'll see now it's time to pass the guard, right? So you'll see him starting to engage immediately. He starts to already, he's on his toes right now, so most of his weight is on his feet, but you'll see him start to lean forward, and there you go. You see how he's leaning forward now, forcing Pedro to use the weight. So now, again, Pedro is going to use these frames. He's using this shin on his shoulder and this hand on his shoulder, and this hand trying to support Gordon's weight. But look how easily Gordon passes right now, right? He's so exhausted, and now that, again, Gordon is starting to pressure in. One of the things you'll notice when Gordon's passing, he doesn't lose space much. He doesn't, when he starts to pass, he's basically shifting angles and constantly soaking up space. So it doesn't give the guy much chance to recover. And also because Gordon's on his toes here and pressuring forward, it's really difficult for Pedro to be able to move away and create space from him, right? Because when he's on his toes and basically forcing Pedro to support all of his weight, Pedro can't move away from him. He's pretty much pinned to the ground because of the weight distribution. So you'll see here, he pushes the leg. Again, you know, John talks a lot about basically going into the half guard, like passing the guard from the half guard position. So establishing the half guard, which again is halfway past the guard, right? Get halfway past, and then all you need to do is free your leg. So that's always a really, really smart strategy when you're passing the guard. If you can get to the half guard halfway past, then all you have to do is free your leg. Especially if you get to the half guard where your chest is basically on their chest. So basically you're almost to your goal, right? If you think about the mount, if you think about cross-eyed, you're basically chest to chest with them from both those positions. So that's why you'll see Gordon really trying to put his chest towards Pedro's chest. A lot of times when I see people passing, they try to collapse the legs. They drop their chest on top of the legs to control the legs when they could actually be soaking up a lot more space. So you see, again, he's directing his chest right to his chest. This frame already got collapsed. You see, Pedro tried to use his forearm against Gordon, and Gordon already collapsed this frame. And now he's kind of cutting an angle, turning him to his side. So you see, he's got this knee inside. That's kind of the main thing that's going to, it's the main frame that's against Gordon's hip that's kind of stopping him from being fully past the guard. He's kind of in a half guard situation right now. But when he tries to push Gordon away with this knee, he extends his leg, Gordon just steps over this foot. So check this out. It's such an easy pass. He's here, he starts to push away, boom. Right? Stepped over right to the mount. So let's watch that again. Because he uses that frame. See how Gordon's constantly leaning on him, clearing frames. It's like against a person that really knows how to pass like this, use this style of passing, which is what I try to teach everyone, how to use your weight efficiently and how to basically keep constant pressure on your opponent so that you're relaxed, you're not using much energy, and you're forcing them to use energy. Once you really start to understand these concepts of how to pass guard, you really start to blow through people's guards. No matter what situation, no matter what comes up, it's really, guard passing is very, very conceptual. So again, he's trying to keep him away. Gordon's leaning on him. Yep, he's using that knee inside. See how he cuts the angle? So he cut the angle right there to kill this knee that was originally in there. If we go back a second here, he cuts the angle. So basically, again, using weight and angles to kill these frames, right? So you'll see he's got this frame on him, this frame on him. This frame is kind of on his hip, and what you'll see is Gordon changes the angle. and collapses those frames. And when you collapse the frames, you end up getting closer to your goal, right? Boom, he collapsed. So look how much closer he is now from changing the angle, right? Now you can see he's not fully passed because Pedro's still got this knee inside, but when he tries to stretch him away, right, you'll see Gordon step over the leg and go right into the mount. Boom, right into the mount, and then he lifts the leg. So because Pedro is on his side, right, Gordon automatically transitions to a side mount position. Some people call this technical mount, some people call it modified mount, but basically he passed, because he's on this side, he automatically switches to a side mount position so that this knee does not get underneath his leg. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I end up watching this match on Saturday, and I was just very, very impressed with Gordon's guard passing. He's starting to use his weight distribution and pressure so much more. You can hear John Danaher posting and talking a lot about using weight and pressure. This is something that I've been trying to help people get a better understanding of for years, understanding how to use your weight and understanding how to use pressure. It's kind of a missing element in a lot of modern jiu-jitsu, this understanding of weight distribution and how to really gas your opponents out. It's crucial, especially as you get older, this understanding, because it helps you stay competitive with the younger, more athletic guys. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that little breakdown of this guard passing. I share all of this info. I actually have a guard passing course that I have on hiddenjiujitsu.com, and it's 5 seminars where I really break down and talk about what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to accomplish when you're passing the guard, and all of the concepts. Really, guard passing is just a very, very simple concept of weight distribution and angles to basically pass any guard. So that's something that actually Hickson shared with me one day when he was trying to explain to me how to pass guard. He said, "Hey Henry, guard passing is just weight distribution and angles." And that's exactly what you see Gordon doing, is basically constantly applying his weight on his opponent, shifting these angles to collapse the frames, and every time he shifts the angles, he ends up getting closer to his opponent. And you also end up wearing them out. It's brutal when you're dealing with a guard player or a guard passer that understands how to use their weight efficiently. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed that, and check out my guard passing mastery. It's a seminar course. It's 5 seminars all on basically guard passing and how to pass and how to deal with different styles of guards.